Hello, my name is John Singer. I have the pleasure and honor of being chairman of Pantheon International PLC, or PIP as we call it. I'm here today really to try to explain to you some changes that we're making in our capital allocation policy, what we're going to do and why we're doing it. And to begin at the beginning, I should explain why it was that I was so happy to accept the invitation after 6 years of being on the board to become chairman. There were really two things behind it in my mind. The first was an ideal that every portfolio, every savings policy should have within it an element of private equity, of every individual interested in having some capital gain, some solid capital gain in their portfolio. Secondly, I was becoming increasingly sensitive to the fact that the listed private equity sector was not perhaps listening to the needs, the changing needs of shareholders and stakeholders in today's highly changing world. And that therefore perhaps this would give us the chance to put that right, turn a problem into an opportunity and seize that opportunity. Being new to the post, I realized that I needed to do a bit of self-education. And so I gave myself a program to meet our investors, or at least some of them, and get some feedback. These talks were unbelievably helpful and very enjoyable too, and I do intend to keep up that program for the year going ahead. We talked about many different topics, but the elephant in the room always returned to the fact that we were suffering this huge discount between the net asset value and the market capitalization on the stock markets. And therefore, this was something that needed to be dealt with in one way or another. Unfortunately, the markets do not believe those net asset values, despite the fact that we have been showing uplifts on assets that are being sold of between 20 and 30% over the last 10 years. So I came back very energized from all my discussions and set up a review team, which was made up actually of board members and members of the executive team, to try to underline and try to find what are those problems and what are potential solutions. And it became very clear that what was needed was not a single bullet, but a holistic package of changes that would meet the needs of our investors today and put their interests first. So back to turning a problem into an opportunity. Now, for some time, our board had been thinking and expressing the view that we did need to make changes to our capital allocation policy. We felt we should be adding a further string to our bow in that allocation process, namely to be investing into our own portfolio when these discount levels are so high. After all, we know the portfolio. We totally believe in the asset values. So why don't we actually invest into what we believe in at a time when we can actually buy so cheaply into our own portfolio and grab that value for ourselves and our investors? And so the board, after considerable deliberation and working with that team that I referred to earlier, have come up with two initiatives which I wanted to share with you today. So the first initiative, which has been decided upon by the board, is to undertake a very substantial share repurchase program to take advantage of that discount during this fiscal year while those high discounts still exist. And in fact, the board has earmarked a sum of up to £200 million to carry out this program while we have this opportunity to seize. Now, this sum of £200 million is clearly a very substantial sum, and in fact equates to around 15% of our market capitalization. I think you all know how prudent and careful we are about our balance sheet. And I can reassure you that we have made this decision after an incredible amount of work by our review team to give you some comfort on how we are retaining that prudent, some say conservative approach to our balance sheet. We finished with cash of around £60 million and credit facilities, unused headroom, £500 million. But in addition, the board are making this decision with confidence because we have another lever at our discretion. Because we are not a fund that puts all of its money into funds, where we are in the hands of those funds, and when they ask us for their commitments to be paid to them, we have a majority of our investments in single assets, which we ultimately have the control and can dial up and dial down according to what is happening in that outside world. This gives us a tremendous control over our capital allocation and our balance sheet, and gives us the confidence to be able to carry out this program within that level of prudence that you expect from us. But this one initiative is not sufficient on its own. And the board felt that we should actually announce today a second initiative, where we will be continuing this policy of using available net cash flow in some proportion to continue this share buyback program in future years. The proportion that goes into that share buyback compared to what we put into new investments will vary according to the discount level that is reigning at that time. The wider the discounts in the market, the more attractive it is to reinvest into our portfolio, and so the greater the proportion that will go into these share buybacks. Our holistic package actually contains a third element, which is an ongoing program by the team to resegment this market, and in doing so really come up with ways to broaden that investor base. And this takes me back to one of my reasons for wanting to take on the chairmanship, which is my ideal, which is shared as a passion by the board, to bring private equity into the lives and portfolios of a much wider segment of the population. This gives me the opportunity to thank you, our shareholders. Firstly, those who had the patience to educate me and to share your views with me, which has led to confirmation of the work that we have been doing for quite a while. To give us the confidence to seize that opportunity on your behalf. And to our loyal shareholders who I have not yet met, I hope to meet a number of you over the coming year. And I thank you all for really being part of our Pantheon family and believing in us. I thank you all. Thank you.